our topic today takes me to a place of a quote that I like. And it's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And together is a word that I love. Last Saturday, we kick off the Speakers Bureau for this Toastmaster years. And my dear friend, David Kerr Henry, sent me a reminder in a text and say, Edith, this is a quote that you said. She said, and it says, in a word, we can change the world. And may I propose that we think for a moment in that word together and how together can change the world of Toastmasters for us. Let's explore that. If I say together, what comes to your mind? And please use the chat. We're going to be interacting a little bit. And I would like to hear your thoughts. When I say together, what comes to your mind? And just give me one or two words in the chat about that. And while you're doing that, I will continue talking so we can fill that chat as soon as possible and say, when I hear the word together in Toastmaster, this is what comes to mind. And please use the chat. I hope the chat is available to all. Is it too?
They're coming in, Edith. They're coming in. You've got lots of suggestions: unity, cooperation, teamwork,
Fantastic.
all sorts of things, partners, harmony, camaraderie.
Fantastic, fantastic. Family, synergy, teamwork, support. And they might be many, many, many more. But as the title suggests, it takes a village. And this phrase alone tells us that everything we want to do, we need others. Is that enough for our understanding? I don't know that, but I would like to propose that the power lies within each of us, that most especially when we're part of something bigger than ourselves. You see, when I joined Toastmaster, I was selfish. I just wanted to practice my English skills and my public speaking skills. But that transformed. And I would like to do this short exercise with you. When you joined Toastmasters the first time, that very first time, what was your purpose? What was the reason? Maybe the reason. Purpose might become later, but what was the reason you first joined Toastmasters? Sandy, I love that miracles happens together. Love that. I see a speech impediment and joined in 2014. And by the way, if you can put me when you did it, you know, that might give me an idea to get public speaker, to find a stronger voice, hone skills, self-improvement, suggestion from my dad. I love that. My dad told me since I was a child, you need to be a Toastmasters too. To be able to present, wow, 1997, 1991, overcome public speaking. And then the second part of the exercise, as you continue, 1993, wow. I was graduating from college, I think, at that age. No. I was already doing masters, but wow, look at John Model in 1985. Give me a break. No wonder he beat me on Toastmaster table topics. At the end of the day, we all had a very good reason to join Toastmaster, but what is your reason to stay? What is the reason today? Why are you here today? And just give me a couple of words there. Growth mindset, enjoying seeing others grow, social interaction, accomplishment, leading other opportunities, the people, the community. My fellow TM achieve their goals. I keep growing, I raise the bar. David Kerr Henry inspires me. Yes, she inspires me as well. Continuous improvement. May I suggest that many of us came for one reason, but we stay for another? And when we think about that, it takes me back to it takes a village. And the younger generations have a concept for village that I came to embrace. And they call it a tribe. It's that tribal movement, right? So they say, oh, I'm a member of this tribe or that tribe. And some of them even use designated clothing or articles, or they might even, I would say, they might even use tattoos these days. But they identify themselves with their tribes. And I wonder how many of us are so identified with Toastmasters. We use those buttons, ask me about Toastmasters, right? In Africa, that concept of a tribe is called Ubuntu. Ubuntu. However, Ubuntu takes a deeper meaning that invites reflection. Ubuntu, U-B-U-N-T-U. U-B-U-N-T-U. Ubuntu. It means I am because you are. Think about that for a second. I am because you are. And that's a wow moment for me as a leader. I'm fascinated with leadership. I am because you are. And let's ponder on that for a second. Together implies one spirit, one accord, one purpose. But together is a word that I want you to keep in mind as I continue on this conversation with you. Most of us are familiar with that slogan of Toastmasters, where leaders are made. Everybody familiar with that? Because you can show a heart or an icon, say, yes, I am familiar with that. Notice that they don't say where public speaking is, a fear of public speaking is, it's broken or whatever. They say, where leaders are made. And the heart of a leader is that communication. And I wonder how many Toastmasters really join Toastmasters to be a better leader. But most of us, when I saw the reason for joining the first time, they really joined because they wanted to be a better communicator, most of us. But then we stay because we became better persons, because we're growing, because we're learning. Now, one of the things that I would like to explore with you, and you can give me a reaction button, if you will. And Vicky, I will need eyes to tell me how many of you came for one reason and stayed for another reason, and just show a heart, a hand or something. And Vicky, I will need eyes on the floor to see if they were like half of the people, 3/4 or something like that.
I am checking. I am looking at good majority of the folks joined for one reason and are indicating they're staying for another. And then there are those who are just dozing. Let's go ahead, participate, engage. I can't get through the screens fast enough really because the reaction buttons go down. So I think that you got a good response, Edith.
Fantastic. Well, it's great. The idea here is, bottom line, some of us came for one reason and stayed for another reason. And some of you are at the beginning of the Toastmasters journey. Maybe by a show of hand, how many of you, this is the first TLI? I hope there's a lot of hands up, because that means there's a lot of leaders emerging in our Ubuntu, right? In whatever stage of that journey you are, you belong to something greater than yourself. You're part of the together. You're part of the village. You are the part of the tribe, or better yet, you're part of the Toastmasters Ubuntu. And if your purpose to join Toastmaster has not changed yet, I promise it will. It will. Most of us come for one reason, stay for a different reason. The question is, how willing are you to explore what I call in my business slogan, growth not yet imagined? Because growth beyond imagination is what happened in Toastmasters. Think about that for a second. Growth beyond imagination is what happened in Toastmasters. Today, we're here together, hopefully with open minds, with willing service hearts, and the desire to learn to perform our duties and to contribute to the best of our abilities. I said, hopefully, because your mindset and your desire to grow depends on you. The part that is a fact is that we're here together and we are the village. There is Ubuntu in Toastmasters. And I wish I would be a live audience so everybody can say, yes, there is Ubuntu in Toastmasters. I am because you are, and you have been summoned to leadership in this tribe. Get that? You have been summoned to leadership in this tribe and in this village. I would suggest that we explore a little bit what is being a leader in that village means, because I am, because you are. It starts with I am. Therefore, my first question is, how do you show up as a leader? What do you want? How are you doing reflects your being. You might be saying, oh, Edith, shut up. These are too many questions, and I will respond, you're right. And all of them and many more are necessary. How do you show up? What is your mindset? Somebody said that they're here because they have a growth mindset, they're staying. And yes, there is two types of mindsets. You have the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. The first is that fixed mentality that whatever is going to happen is going to happen. I have no power of influence. I cannot change things. And what I learned already, I'm an old dog. I cannot learn new tricks and all those different paradigms that really serve no purpose. But the growth mindset, it's an open. It's about remaining curious. It's about the willingness to explore and the willingness to learn. And there's so much to learn. You know, if this is your first TLI, you're just beginning that journey of learning much more. And I will tell you a story a little later about how my journey began in the learning process with Toastmasters. But I ask you about this because how you show up directly impacts others, how they act, and if they decide or not to follow your leadership. And there's no leaders without followers. We know that, right? So how do we influence others to follow your lead? And leadership is a big responsibility. We all know that, right? And when you think about responsibility, think about that word for a second. And I'm fascinated with words. Responsibility, the ability to respond. Leaders are not just about performing the duties of the office. Sergeant of Arms opens the meeting, take time, inventories, secretary takes note, president leads. No. President is the head, VP is the heart, all of those things that we know about the different roles that we play at the club level. And you will learn much more about that today. But at the end of the day, it's about how do we inspire the members? How do you inspire the members of your tribe? And how do you help them be in a constant transformation? Because that's the reason they stay. Think about your own reason. You stay because you're growing. You're staying because you're developing. And growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone. Your team, at the end of the day, is going to be a reflection of your leadership. So sometimes when you have complaints, when you say, oh, the people here and all that, just pull a mirror from your pocket and look at yourself and say, what is it that I'm doing? How am I showing up? Because at the end of the day, it's an energy management process. It's how do we impart that energy on others? And how do we engage them and mobilize their commitment? So I'm going to take a breath for a second here. And somebody's saying here, there's no I in team, be the example and show up for others. Love it. I love the comments, keep it going. Energy management process, right? Energy management process. And for that, you have to take care of yourself. And only then you can take care of others. Don't forget that. Some Toastmasters I have met, they forget about themselves and they burn out. We don't want burnout Toastmasters because then the whole team is going to be burned out. It's a reflection of you, okay? So how do you show up? Are you speaking from a mentality of abundance or a mentality of scarcity? Are you aware of the resources? Because this village, this tribe, this Ubuntu is full of resources. There's so many resources to help. Do you need pathways expert? Guess what? We have a program for that. Do you need to know more about speechcraft? Guess what? We have a chair for that. My club is on 8 members, 10 members or less. Hey, we got coaches for that. And Vicky, would you cheer me up on saying we have resources for almost everything?
We have so many resources between our district and TI and your fellow leaders and members. It's a plethora of resources.
Yes, absolutely. And as I continue, I ask how aware you are in those resources. Because part of being a leader is not just coming in, doing your Toastmaster Leadership Institute and say, check mark, I got my numbers for my DCP, I got my numbers for the Golden Gavel, and trust me, I love those Golden Gavels. But you also have to be a resource to others and be aware that you're not alone, that there's so much at the district level, just as you're showing others that this village, it's full of them, full of resources. Bottom line, name one need, and I will show you a plethora of resources to help you with that. And the riches of our village is so big, you know, from the club level. We have resources for the club management, for the area management, for the division management, for the district management, at the Toastmasters International level. The other day, we were working with a speechcraft issue, and we kind of used all the resources available to us, but then we ended up calling Toastmasters International. They spent 20-something minutes with someone I know to resolve an issue, but they solve it. And that's the richness of this organization. And TLI today reflects part of that. It reflects that our Ubuntu members who are volunteer today, call it moderators, presenters, coordinators, submasters, are helping every officer to become better and to be a greater leader, because it's not just about the office. It's not just about your duties. It's about your leadership. And we continue educating ourselves, learning with the resources available, and also learning how we can help others succeed. So bottom line, we can show a growth mindset, educate ourselves in the resources available at the club, division, district, TLI, and your village has what you need to succeed. You're not alone. You have the people and you have resources, so you can get the job done and grow as you do it. Isn't that beautiful? Because I remember going on jobs that they don't give me what I need, and I had to be a little bit more creative. The next step after you have reviewed your mindset and how you show up is how are you contributing to shape the vision of Toastmasters? And for those of you who are not very familiar, Toastmasters International empowers people to achieve their full potential and realize their dreams. Think about that for a second. It's not just about me exploring my potential, but to get where I want to be. And through our member clubs, people throughout the world can improve their communication and their leadership skills and find the courage to change. So this is a business of transformation. It's not just about losing the fears or public speaking or just making leaders. It's about transforming. And I have not met a Toastmaster that had been more than a year of Toastmaster that had not transformed themselves some way, somehow, and help someone else do the same. Because once we experience it, we want everyone to experience it. Now, I want to hear from you now. So I would like to hear in the chat, here in reading, right? It's like a different here, a different way of listening. Tell me one thing that you're doing or can do to bring this mission to life. One thing that you're doing or can be doing to bring our Toastmaster mission to life. Invite others, show up. Mentor, love that. Teach others the club success. Oh my God, club success plan. I'm a big fan of that, big fan. Talking up Toastmasters, stay engaged. Yeah, be consistently engaged. Be an example. Absolutely. In my case, I'm committed to help transform people the way things are done. I'm passionate about leaving people and things better than I found it. Finish pathways, love it. Mentor, show up your community the benefits of Toastmasters. Wow, what an awesome idea. And there's so many. I want to save that. I want to save the chat because there's a richness of ideas in here. Model success, be the example, be the change you want to see in the world, as Mr. Gandhi would say. The next piece that I would like to discuss is ensuring that you have now an opportunity to create a common need. You see, change and transformation happens when you create a common need in your immediate tribe, in your club. And that happens only when you understand the individual needs of every member. Remember, I am because you are. I get purpose as a leader when I meet your needs. And I hope that I'm transferring that message that there is no Ubuntu, there's no village, there's no tribe if we don't understand that word of togetherness, being together. It's like we form a spirit bigger than ourselves. And I would like to probably share with you very quickly how that spirit was developed in me for Toastmasters. When I first joined Toastmasters 4 years ago, I was lost. It was in the middle of where they're moving from those manuals, which I loved, to pathways. And some people in my club says, no, we're going to keep with the manuals. We don't understand the pathway. And it was that confusion. And then TLI was announced. And I had been, I don't know, this was like March, July, TLI. And I said, I'm going there. I'm going where the people who might know about this tells me, whether I do pathways, because I'm already doing pathways online, but there was nobody to approve my progress. And they didn't even understand the evaluation. So they said, don't go to the book, go to the CC book. Those Toastmasters who were in legacy know what the CC is, the Communicator Competence Manual. And I was like, but I already had done 6 speeches on pathways that nobody had approved. So that was a big confusion. Some of you might remember that and might be smiling with me.
Then probably they're gonna call you if they close.
Yeah. And what happened was that I went to Toastmasters, and I remember that year at TLI, and I remember that year that Debbie Jo was showing something that it was called like the Club Success Plan in a booklet. I still have that booklet today. I live and die for Club Success Plan. And I learned so much as a member. I went back to my club. And then I was helping my officers, because remember, I was like four months in Toastmasters, but I learned pathways and I learned how to navigate the system, and I learned about all this stuff. I didn't miss a bit. I went to every single session that I could attend. But when I went back as a better member of my tribe. And I helped that club and the whole membership to move into pathways. And then the following year, I became the president. And then we achieved Golden Gavel because of that booklet. I follow it to the letter, by the way. But the idea here is how wonderful it is when you have a tribe, when you have this opportunity to be an Ubuntu, and you had to create that common need in your team, that being hungry for success. And finally, it's about that, how you engage the heart. You see, some people stay here on the head, doing the check marks, making sure we got so many, all those numbers that we need to achieve. But at the end of the day, you have to also engage the heart. Not everything is on the head. It takes both. It takes the head and the heart, and actually even the guts, using your instincts to grow and to tap into people's needs. And some people, yes, are more difficult than others. Won't you wish? My biggest prayer is, God, help me see the people the way you see it, because sometimes I don't see it. But at the end of the day, we learn with every opportunity, and we're not alone. We just make sure that definitely there's something that needs to be done, and that as we enjoy that transformation, we can transform others, but get hold of the resources, understand the career path, understand what is required to be a DTM, understand what is the club level, the area level, the division level, the district, understand the system, the structure, the resources, navigate, dedicate few, maybe minutes, even 5 minutes a day, or half hour a week to explore the websites, the District 84 and the Toastmaster International, and educate yourself. Don't depend on what people say. Oh, so-and-so say, so-and-so say. There's nothing better than learning from the sources. Understand the plethora of resources that you have, but keep that mindset, that growth mindset alive. But overall, always commit that you and others should be in a better place just because we have the Toastmaster Ubuntu. And I am because you are. Thank you.